at the FedNow Early Adopter Workshop. With the technical testing phase of the FedNow service kicking off in mid-September, I want to particularly thank you, the early adopters, for the important investments you're making to prepare for the day when the FedNow service goes live. Together, we'll be ready to launch the FedNow service between May and July of 2023, bringing this innovative core instant payments infrastructure to financial institutions of every size across America. We've been working hard to deliver on time, but
Brian Brooks, Bitrue CEO, former acting controller of the currency. Brian, thanks for joining us this morning. Are you a proponent of regulation will eventually be just what we need to remove the uncertainty? Or just looking at I saw a piece on Gary Gensler today, and he's serious. He's serious about a lot of things in terms of the SEC, very activist. And I don't know whether regulation is necessarily going to be the panacea for crypto.
Well, Joe, first of all, let's define some terms, okay? Regulation does not mean suing people. And the approach the SEC's had for the last couple of years has been to not tell anyone what the rules are in advance, but to sue people after they've launched a project, started a company, listed a token, and then cause people to infer what the rules were later. That's not a good thing. And so at some point, Congress and the regulators need to get serious about telling people, what is the speed limit on the crypto highway and what projects are appropriate and good. Once we set frameworks and rules for those things, you'll see a flourishing. But until then, you're going to see a lot of people very nervous about investing in the space.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think. And FedNow begins the test next month, and then it goes live the summer of next year. People, the fourth industrial revolution is moving fast. Instant payments, instant settlement. We know Paxos is working on for actual stocks. You'll be getting paid instantly on a daily basis. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. Now we have Brian Brooks on regulation. And we know he's only playing the Hegelian dialectic. We know he's part of the NWO's puppets. But he states the way that Gary Gensler is regulating through lawsuits is not the way you regulate. And we know that is 100% facts. But we know Gary Gensler is an NWO chess piece. His job is to keep kicking this can down the road. As we can see, they are ready to launch this digital economy. And as we know, Bitcoin is definitely not an inflation hedge in the market that we're in right now. But we know this legacy market is going to be destroyed. Bitcoin is for the machines. These cryptos are for the machines. The whole point of the fourth industrial revolution is that the robots, algorithms, and drones are going to rise. And you're not going to hear that from your media until the fourth industrial revolution is already here. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
To do with that chart you're looking at right now, or is that just a chart you overlay the NASDAQ with?
No, I think there are a bunch of things going on here. This is the problem with doing technical market analysis, right? Every chart is like tea leaves you can read something into. But I think with Bitcoin and crypto broadly, there are two things going on right now. One is we've talked before about the idea that Bitcoin is an inflation hedge, and the more the market expects tough policy from the Fed, the less Bitcoin is necessary as an inflation hedge. I've debated this on this program a number of times before, but right now people seem to think the Fed is going to keep an aggressive posture for longer because of Jay Powell's recent speech, and that would tend to harm Bitcoin. But the other thing going on is, you think about what happened a couple of weeks ago when Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and some other prominent Democratic senators sent a letter to my old agency asking them to pull back all of the regulation that I had imposed when I was in office that was an attempt to provide both safety and clarity. Their view seems to be, no, let's not let Bitcoin anywhere close to the regulated sphere of the economy, meaning banks and broker-dealers. That tends to suggest that this is going to remain a niche asset that will be risky and non-standard. That isn't what markets like. If the big asset managers of the world are going to touch crypto, there has to be a rule set. Why these senators don't want the activity to be happening within the regulatory perimeter, that's a good question. But that tends to be negative for price.
I'm not convinced that people are using Bitcoin yet, or even what happened to gold? I thought Bitcoin took over for gold for the inflation hedge, but okay, yeah, the Fed's talking tough, but Congress is still allocating trillions of dollars that we don't have for things that we. How many of new laws have you seen in the last 6 months? And Brian, if it was really an inflation hedge, only 21 million, whatever you want to say about Bitcoin, Bitcoin should still be, it should be above 19,000. It's still just a correlated asset with risk assets.
Yeah, look, Joe, I would take the other side of that. You know, we've talked before about the fact that the all-time high of Bitcoin happened about 4 days before the current Fed tightening policy took effect. And it's not about what inflation is. It's about what the market predicts inflation will be in the future. So if you believe the Fed is committed to a long-term tightening course, if you think we're going to see 75 basis points rising at the next meeting instead of 50, that kind of thing, that's bad for people who are short-term traders looking to think of this as their hedge. I realize that's complicated for a lot of people to understand because inflation is rampant. But the expectation for inflation in the future is downward because the Fed has finally gotten the message. That's what's hurting Bitcoin. In the same way that stock, it doesn't matter how well the company did this quarter. It matters what your forecast is of the next several quarters, and that tends to be good or bad for the price.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort. And China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
Most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID 33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.